Hello there and welcome to this week's episode of Eye on Port. It's brought to you specially and proudly by Star Assurance, UT Logistics, the Royal Bank, and also Ghana Community Network Services. Now folks, last week we talked about the issue of taxes in extenso, and we engaged a very fine brain as far as the port and maritime trade is concerned. That's the chief executive of the Ghana Shippers Authority, to talk a lot about how to grow business in this year 2016 in Ghana. And he lamented about some of the taxes we have in the system. Ever since that conversation, however, a number of things have happened in the area of taxation, and we feel that we should let you know some of them and what the future holds for taxes in this country. After that, we're going to engage once again the chief executive of the Shippers Authority to talk about facilitating trade in the port in the year 2016. The business community has in recent days been complaining bitterly about what it describes as astronomical increases in taxes by managers of the economy, which is pushing a lot of pressure on a few businesses as others fold up or relocate. There are reports, for instance, that a number of oil companies have relocated to Ivory Coast, decrying the higher taxes in the country. In last week's episode of Eye on Port, the Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Shippers Authority, Dr. Kofi Mbia, called on government not to create the impression for business to feel that they are being overburdened by taxes.
If we are not careful, there will be a weakening of confidence again in the business sector because of, the feel that there is creeping taxation, on every aspect of their business life.
He opined that this could reduce the confidence businesses have in the economy. Since then, the Ministry of Finance has announced a withdrawal of the 1% investment tax imposed on interest earned by individuals on any investments. There are also reports from reliable sources that the President John Mahama is seeking to halve the withholding tax, which is currently hovering around 15%.
I'm glad to note that the banks are sending information on the 1% investment tax, etc. But the information we have is, for example, that the withholding tax having increased to about 15%, in some cases 10% in others. It's a lot of complaints. A lot of complaints from the business community.
It is therefore important for government to listen to the concerns being expressed by the business community in order to win the confidence of businesses. Government must also focus on widening the tax net by ensuring that businesses who are currently not captured are brought into the tax base rather than crippling the few number of businesses with high increased taxes. By so doing, maximum revenue would be realized for the state to undertake the necessary development. At the same time, the confidence businesses have in the Ghanaian economy will be restored. Well, so it appears that the government is listening, and they really better listen, because a number of people are worried about the increase in taxes. The recommendation is that, look, widen the tax base, allow a lot of people to pay taxes, then you can get the revenue, rather than increasing it at a very narrow pace there, that few people pay in taxes, and increasing it so high. And it appears that government is heeding to some of those recommendations left, right, center. We're also hoping that the special import levy will also be withdrawn, as a number of people are complaining about that. It was instituted in the year 2013, hoping to rake in some revenue for that fiscal period of 2013 to 2015. It hasn't been pulled out yet. We're hoping that it will be pulled out so that businesses can continue to function effectively. Also, we are hoping to see a reduction in the withholding tax, all the way from 15% down. The information we are getting from the grapevine is that the president is hoping for us to halve it. That's somewhere around 7%. Hopefully, if it gets there, I'm sure some business confidence will be restored. In the meantime, we're going to engage the Chief Executive of the Ghana Shippers Authority, Dr. Kofi Mbia, on how to facilitate trade in the port. He has been touting this issue of advanced shipment information. We are asking him whether that's any different from the pre-arrival reporting system that's been implemented by the Ghana Revenue Authority, being powered by West Blue.
The National Single Window itself has served as a very good platform. But remember that It's been rolled out in phases.
Yeah.
So we haven't gotten to the stage where we can say that we have made an entire, if you like, whole evaluation of the national single window system, and therefore we can put a thumbs up for it or we can put a thumbs down for it. It has just started. So far, so good. It's done well in what it has done. But remember that there are a number of things that ought to be met.
Okay.
So,
Like
if, for example, you ask yourself, what will be the success factors or criteria by which you would judge it? If people are clearing their goods from the port and it's taking them 10 days, 12 days, as an example, will the introduction of a particular system let them take 2 days or 1 day? You know, that is the sort of thing we are. If the cost factors, you know, incidental to the clearing are so much, you're going to ask yourself, will these lead to a reduction in cost for the businessman who is clearing his cargo from the port?
We see that, we can pat ourselves on the back.
I'm saying that when you take a toddler, to the extent that he's able to make a few steps, moves, we think it's good news. But he must reach the stage where he's able to walk, you know, and then you can say he's of age. How the system deals with the various issues that we believe that a holistic system should deal with. Revenue leakages should be plugged as far as government is concerned. Security. You know, in recent times we have heard about the proliferation of arms, etc., in our country, and everybody is a little apprehensive because, you know, we are in an election year and blah blah blah, etc. So security is an issue in terms of what comes in. It is true that we have porous borders, but to the extent that we can protect our borders, our main borders, that is the ports, for example, in terms of what comes in, it will depend also on information that is available.
Okay.
So revenue leakages will be one. A system should be able to ensure that we plug revenue leakages. We should also look at issues of security. I've mentioned that we need to look at the speed with which people are able to get their cargoes from the port. We should look at the cost factors also, you know, that are attendant to these. And yes, so yes, so if it can deal with this, introduce transparency into the system, then for me these 5 elements will be key.
Yes. Do you think this pre-arrival reporting systems can cure what you were hoping to cure with the advanced information shipping information system?
If you, my candid opinion would be that it will be to a very limited extent.
Okay.
You know, because you see, the system as it is now still relies on information that is fed to it from within, from here, from Ghana. It still relies on information fed to it from Ghana, and therefore the avenue for doctrine of invoices still persists.
Yeah. So for you, you would want that the pass would not just include the documents from the destination countries, but also the origin.
From origin, you know, and that is what the advanced shipment is all about.
Do you think that there's room to upgrade this pass to include the documentation, getting data from the country of origin?
Oh, certainly.
Okay.
Certainly.
So the current system,
certainly,
they can upgrade it to get that information.
Yes.
Would you advocate for that? Would you advise them to do this?
Oh yes, I think it's important. It's important that we infuse in the system something that gives us a greater latitude of transparency. You know, the thing is that you could talk about having manifest data information maybe 48 hours, 72 hours before a ship arrives, etc. How much time does it leave you? I talked about we doing about 15 million tons of cargo. We were doing about 19 million tons, and I have every hope that we will climb up again to 20, 25, 30 million tons of cargo. I have every hope that we will be getting there. The point is that you have to rely on information for your risk analysis. And the more time you have to analyze that information, the data available to you, before your ship arrives, the better for you.
We have election coming up. A lot of people are very mindful of that. This time it's even been pushed forward to November. How are all these factors going to play out in our trade?
I would say that election years are normally difficult years for us in this business. You know, quite unfortunately, very unfortunately, our elections have been characterized by a certain level of panic. That panic does not augur well for business. And our statistics have also shown that in every election year, our throughput has suffered. Because, I'm hoping that this time around, I think there is a certain level of consciousness. And therefore, we are starting very early, to try and douse the flames, of the excessive passion that characterizes the elections.
And so, and also, I was hoping that we've done elections since 1992, and all of the times that we have them, that kind of panic comes. At the end of the day, we'll go through successfully. I am beginning to think that by now we should be getting used to, shouldn't we?
Yeah, I would also think so, that by now we should be getting used to. But, where the stakes are high, so it's not easy to get used to. And, the business community are not necessarily politicians. The politicians sometimes, they can appreciate that, these things will happen, we'll get out of it. But the business community is about money, and for them, they want to look at dollars and cents. How much am I putting in? What am I getting out? Is there a possibility that what I put in, I'll get out? So there is always a wait and see attitude amongst them. Some will try to bring in goods a little early, and hope that things calm down. And if they see the atmosphere, they gauge, the climate, they are able to tell, okay, it's coming to Christmas, let me bring in some goods. And that is why I think this November thing is good, because I believe that if we are able to do this in November, it's get done with it, then hopefully by end of November, yes, some who may have imported but kept them, because of fear of what may happen, would begin to release them onto the market. Because remember that there is always a gestation period, and therefore people cannot immediately in November begin to import for December consumption. So we must realize that it will take sometimes about a month to 2 months, for averagely for cargoes to arrive. And so people would. So November is good. I'm sure people would look at that. They'll bring in their merchandise, and then once the election is over, I'm sure very quickly people would engage in trading activities, and we will see some improvement. I am hoping that, one, we will stabilize our power. I've said that our investigations all around the country, the major players have told us that power was a problem in 2015. So if we are able to stabilize the power, I'm happy measures have been taken in that regard. So if we are able to stabilize the power, first and foremost, if we are able to maintain a certain level of exchange rate, that is stabilized over a period, because it is not just about the rate increasing. The rate may increase. It may go to 4.2, fine, no problem. But the stability of the rate is pertinent, because it is that which allows for planning. But the volatility is not helpful. The third thing for me is to revisit our issue of taxation and try to space it out. Let it be in infinitesimal doses, so that the effect is not felt all at a go. We need taxation. We need to tax. We need to bring in revenue. But if we go gingerly, I'm sure that we will get there, so that we can expand, broaden the base, get more people in. Let's engender growth, because a lot of things come with growth. Let's engender growth. And I think that would be. And finally, business confidence. At the heart of all of this for the business people is business confidence. We need to have people to believe that things will get better.
Now, as we talk about facilitating trade and what to do in the port to ensure easy way of doing business in the port, it appears that Tema Port is leading the way within the West African sub-region, aside the fact that they were named the best performing port in the year 2014 by the Port and Maritime Industry for West and Central Africa. It appears the transit trade in Tema Port is growing. It's increased significantly this year, and that's because the Port of Tema says they have been able to procure certain equipment, certain cranes that's able to handle heavy cargoes as well as very delicate cargo, and that is helping the transit, the landlocked countries significantly. That's Burkina Faso, Mali and Niger.
In recent times, the port of Tema has been well positioned in the West African sub-region to lift and discharge any heavy and delicate cargo that arrive in the sub-region. Speaking shortly after discharging a milling shell, which is a factory equipment with tonnage capacity of 156 and meant for the cement industry in a free zone enclave of Ghana, the mechanical manager of Tema Port, Stephen Owia, said 2 harbour cranes were deployed with a combined capacity of 288 tons to discharge the milling shell within 30 minutes. Such an efficient level of loading and offloading heavy and delicate cargo is often not common among ports in the sub-region.
This one, if you are not discharging here, they were supposed to send it to, I think, Douala. And it was going to be very difficult to get it back into Ghana. So GPHA is now positioned to do any of the heavy lifts that you can talk about in this country, in the sub-region.
He said the mechanical and stevedoring department of the Tema Port has over the past few months boosted its capacity significantly, and in early last year lifted a power generation plant with a capacity of 205 tons, which speaks volumes of the port's capacity to lift heavy cargo as well as delicate ones that calls the port.
We have the capacity to handle such cargo. In fact, this morning there was a bit argument between the white group from Mammoth who are transporting the cargo and the GPHA stevedore and mechanical. They felt that because the ship's crane could not do it, we as blacks cannot handle it. And here is it. We have been able to discharge this one. This is about the smallest one. The highest one we have discharged here was 183.
The managing director of 7 Locks said shipping operators have confidence in Tema Port because of its capacity to compete with international ports.
We are extremely happy and extremely satisfied, and we are going to continue to promote GPHA ports to bring additional cargo, heavy lift cargo, to meet the international ports throughout the world, which is now a first and a premier in West Africa.
Last year, a team of government officials led by the trade and energy ministers from Niger visited the Tema port and revealed that, in spite of the language barrier, Niger prefers to use the port of Tema in transporting goods to that landlocked country due to the port's efficiency. The government of Niger subsequently used the port to successfully discharge about 6 47-ton electricity transformers meant for electric power generation in Niger through a company called Fagioli. Again in 2015, the port of Tema was used by engineers, contractors and government of Burkina Faso to discharge highly delicate water construction pipelines numbering about 24,000 and weighing 8 tons each, which were brought into the Tema port by 3 separate vessels in separate consignments and subsequently transited to Burkina Faso. The director of Tema Port, Jacob Adoko, says the purchasing of heavy-duty cranes and equipment by the Port Authority is gradually making the Port of Tema an envy in the sub-region. Indeed, such improved performance also led to the increase in the transit trade for the year 2015, as confirmed by the Shippers Authority.
When you look at transit trade, it is the only area where there was an appreciation, around 600,000 metric tons to 681,000 metric tons.
However, a lot more need to be done to sustain the growth in trade and even improve it.
Iron Pod returns pretty shortly after the break.
Star Assurance, creating smiles since 1985. Let go. Let's celebrate 30 years of solid partnership. Star Assurance, your solid partner.
I'll take care of you.
There's a place in my heart that makes me feel that you're the one. It's a place I wanna be, 'cause satisfaction guaranteed. From strength to strength you help me grow, 'cause you're there for me. And teach me how to be independent, 'cause you
The Royal Bank.
The Royal Bank.
The Royal Bank.
Banking with transparency, commitment to integrity.
Royal Bank.
The Royal Bank. The Royal Bank.
The Royal Bank. Real banking, real difference.
UT Logistics have come to stay. When you approach a job like the way we approach it, each job is unique. Each client is unique. We provide the best service in the system. We have best staff. We are very fast. We are quick, and we save customers a lot of money.
Welcome back. Coming up next are news and activities happening in and around the port and maritime industry.
The Finance Minister announced on Tuesday, July 21, during the mid-year budget review reading, that in the Ghana Revenue Authority Strategic Plan from 2015 through 2017, businesses' information and exchange of import data with domestic information for tax compliance purposes is being pursued to ensure that all companies pay the required taxes to the state in order to rake in revenue for developmental purposes.
Importers are required to indicate their TIN numbers and the domestic tax office where they honor their tax obligations for full compliance, including tax audits.
In this view, the Ghana Community Network Services (GCNet) has revealed that it has completed a facility that interfaces a single view of the importer and major revenue agencies like the IRS, Customs, VAT, etc., which hitherto operated separately in the port.
We build a single view of the taxpayer so that we get an overview of all your operations, not just at the point of import into the country, but your ongoing operations as an individual or business.
Effective registration system is considered a major component in securing taxes for the state. Hence, under the GGov project being undertaken by GCNet, all businesses as well as their directors have been given tax identification numbers that allow revenue agencies to track the tax compliance level of individuals and businesses.
Everybody who now registers a business has to give a tax identification number, and all directors, shareholders, secretaries, etc., must all have an individual tax identification number in addition to the tax identification number for the actual company. Now, what we can see is how those individuals are connected with other companies. Now, so you might be a shareholder or a director in company A, and also a shareholder in company B and C and so on. So you can actually see and build up a much better idea of economic activity of an individual and how companies relate to each other and whether there are actually cross-shareholding between companies.
In the past, a lot of people only acquired business certificates and business bank accounts and start operating without paying taxes. But per the new tax compliance arrangement, businesses will need their TINs and tax codes before they can operate.
The system is now checking that you are actually filing your VAT returns. It's an offence if you don't, even if you don't, if you claim that you haven't made any sales, you have to file a nil return. Okay? And if you don't, it's an offence, and the system will A, automatically remind you, B, automatically issue notices if you've actually gone beyond a certain number of days.
Chris Holden revealed that another code is being generated called the Orphan Taxpayer, which will expose all individuals and companies who have tax identification numbers but don't pay tax in any GRA offices.
We're able to geolocate where these guys are and actually assign them to a tax office for the tax office then to follow up and ensure that they're actually onboarded at the tax office, they're registered for the correct tax types, okay, depending on their profile, and then they start paying tax.
He said all the tax compliance measures being instituted have generally been successful so far, but a lot more cooperation is required. Customers of Ghana Community Network Services Limited, GCNet, can now heave a sigh of relief following measures instituted by management to bring convenience to their way of doing business. At a Thanksgiving service, the board, management and staff of GCNet praised God for seeing them through successful operations in the year 2015 in spite of challenges.
The fact that there are accidents that may happen which could have, have somebody seriously injured, but in all this, we come, and God is us, and we come as a whole, as a corporate entity. At the end of the day, in spite of all the challenges that may be in the economy, we make a positive operational outturn as well as a positive financial outturn. We feel we must give praise and thanks to God.
Emmanuel Darko, Deputy General Manager GCNet, added that a new user interface and transactional document verification, which will be deployed this year, will bring convenience to customers. Emmanuel Darko said so far 36 ministries, departments and agencies have also been connected to their interface as part of efforts to boost trade facilitation.
We've connected a whole range of ministry, department and agencies. At this present count, 36. Last year, for instance, we connected a museum and money bonds board to enable them issue electronic licenses and permits as part of the single lodgement of documentation for trade and customs transactions.
Staff of Ghana Community Network Services worshipped and praised God for his goodness in year 2015 and prayed for a successful and blissful 2016.
Sing about there ain't no limitations to your amazing grace, your amazing grace. And there's something about the way your love shines on my face. Oh no, I can never get enough of you.
Star Assurance, creating smiles since 1985. Let go. Let's celebrate 30 years of solid partnership. Star Assurance, your solid partner.
I'll take care of you.
Banking with transparency, commitment to integrity. The Royal Bank, the Royal Bank.
The Royal Bank, real banking, real difference.
We've all heard stories about ports, about difficulties and challenges at the port. We think that to bring transparency to the port is very important for both the end consumers and even the people, some of the agents who work within the port. This program is very, very critical, and I think everybody who is involved in the port, in businesses that has impact on the port one way or the other, should make it a point to view it.
Well, we continue to urge you to send us your concerns as far as doing business in the port is concerned. And we have a number of people who have sent some of them to us. Let's take a listen to them as we share them with the rest of the world.
Sechi Saints from Tema writes, EOP, please, I will urge you to visit these two shipping lines, MPS and MOL. Getting an invoice can take up to 4 hours, whereas releases at MOL is nothing to write home about. These two shipping lines are frustrating clearing agents. As for the whom you know syndrome, the least said about them, the better. Sechi, the two shipping lines you mentioned have taken notice of your concern and will address it as urgently as possible.
Well, coming up next are schedules of vessels sitting in the port, those also coming from Anchorage and those expected for the next week, plus the Bank of Ghana exchange rates for the coming week. Next. Well, that's it for this week's edition of Eye on Port. I hope I've been able to place your eyes on the port's activities and also bring the port's activities closer to you. Lots of appreciation to my crew. That's Godwin Kabute, also Robert Nyantechi. Solomon Andesi assisted the production. Joe Lavo was the visual editor. Lots of thanks also to Ebenezer Tewia, Isaac Bosu, Prince Bruce Lamte, and the executive producer, Paul Asariansa. Thank you for watching.